Don't really have anything that you need to worry too much about, or at least you've already seen the Harith and the Nolan, so carry is going to be the option.
Want to make sure that they can get rid of some of these tanks. They're expecting Kaiser to also play a tank. They know that Nolan is definitely going into the jungle, so therefore, what is the mid lane going to be for RSGMY? I think that's going to be the big question here. Nana and Vixana are already out, so Lilia doesn't seem too bad of an option overall.
Lilia, Novaria. If you want more consistent damage and zoning, there's always the Lilia. But if you want utility, then there's always the Novaria. Kaiser on that Yuzong, some dive potential.
I wonder if they want something different, because if they pick a regular mage now, most of their damage is magic. So it wouldn't be too difficult for Monster Vicious to itemize with the Athinas into the Radiant here. Yuzong does put a bit of a stop to that plan, but the Black Dragon form being stealable now for Monster Vicious could be something to worry about.
Let's see, final pick. It is a Faramis. What did I say?
Nicely done, nicely done. Again, RSG just sticking very true to their core. Once the linchpins are already shown, they're just really leaning in towards their direction. Good call there. But now with the Yuzong in lane, MV, they've got plenty of options to actually try and deal with this. They could get another tanky frontliner themselves, or do they want to supplement it with some more dive damage, something that has a little bit more AoE to try and crack open and force Farmis to use his Netherrealm early on.
Lapu, Barat. I'm still looking at the Lapu as a very good option. I think Minsita looks a bit juicy, but I feel like that's more of a Todak thing. They probably practice with it. For MV, just stick with what you're good at. I think the Lapu now feels very, very juicy. But they go for the Paquito instead, so opting to play a more side lane-oriented XP lane.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty volatile EXP lane because it could go either way for the Paquito or even for the Yuzong here. More importantly, both compositions definitely want to play around their gold laners as much as they can. I think MV is going to take a bit of a beating here in the earlier stages of the game if maybe they can get a little bit of gold in EXP or a single kill for Zeno in the EXP side to have control over that side of the map. Then they can start investing their time on the opposite side and make sure that carry actually gets to where she wants to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. Paquito is going to be their best bet for those first few minutes of the game because having to deal with a Harith, Nolan, and Yuzong at the same time means team fights are not going to be easy for Monster Vicious. We're going to be jumping into game 1 of our second match of the day. Which of the monsters will be able to come out on top? RSGMY versus Monster Vicious. I'm very excited for what's about to come.
Yeah, it's going to be an explosive one nonetheless. I mean, Monster Vicious, they've proven themselves time and time again that in that tier 2 scene, they are unbeatable. But you would only go as far as your weakest performance. And in this case, if you can't get past RSG, then for Monster Vicious, it means going back to the drawing board. But I think at the end of the day, I'm not looking for MV to just 2-0 RSG. I'm looking for them to make a dent.
Make a dent, huh? It's gonna be easier said than done. It may be a different lineup, but RSG is still one of the top teams in MPL MY across its history. And having a very strong team fight frontline with the Mentor, with the Netherrealm, and then allowing Lolil and Venogo basically all the space they need is going to be key if RSG MY wants to outperform the front-to-back lineup that Monster Vicious may be running.
I mean, RSG's MY's composition is just a lot easier to execute in comparison to MV, right? Because a lot of MV's abilities, you've got to really have some precision in where you are throwing them out. The final slash or even the knockup strikes coming in from Paquito. They all need to have an intense purpose, whether to push it back into your team to separate them from the rest of the group or just to peel back and create space for Ruff. And I think even for Ruff, right? He walks up, there's a lot of things that outrange him.
Yep, you have the dive, the instant petrify Furious dive from Yuzong. The Farmers can get on top of you, Minotaur, or you're within range of Minotaur Fury if he has that flicker. I would say since we kind of put that pillar onto Zeno on his Paquito, which I agree, every single ability from this man matters. And you are playing footsies with the enemy core as well. You know, both Nolan and Harith are very mobile, so one missed punch and the team fight could be decided just like that.
It's a scary position to be in here, considering that if Nolan is just able to get on top of Ruff, there's not a lot the rest of their team can do about it. Final Slash is basically the only reliable way that they can save Ruff in those situations, unless Vegas is able to steal the Netherrealm, for example. So It's gonna be a battle of wits. We're gonna be seeing the utilities and cooldowns of both these teams being tested because like you guys have mentioned, yeah, being able to identify the right timings to use these skills properly will be the key to victory.
It's gonna be a bit of more explosive early to mid game, I assume. Especially when we get to the phase where those side lane turrets start falling, the tier 1 starts falling, that's where this Pakido is going to spring into action, right? How do you manipulate the sideways? How do you start drawing attention from RSG? Because frankly speaking, if you want someone to deal with side waves, you're probably looking at the Yuzong, sometimes the Nolan, but only if he has the purple buff. Anyone else is threatened by the Pakido.
I think the overall game plan seems to be straightforward. And sorry guys, there is a bit of a tech pause here coming in from our side. The players are making sure that they are in tip-top shape, and once that has been settled, we'll jump straight into the game. But yeah, as we were saying, MV does have a pretty straightforward plan if it all falls into place, right? Invest time into that EXP and eventually bleed that lead over towards the purple buff side of RSG's map. And once they do so, I think they shut down a lot of RSG's overall tempo.
Shutting down tempo, will they be able to achieve so? Because it's gonna be RSG MY up against Monster Vicious. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. But we finally draw the curtain upon the land of dawn.
Two different beasts with the same objective. One on the road to redemption and the other on the road to prove themselves as worthy of the big league. This early game is going to be crucial in how far Venogo and Storm is willing to go to push that momentum. We're looking for the dynamics that we've seen in the last season. That has set up a high bar for RGMY as a team. Early harassment onto Fakers, that's going to bring him down to last in hell.
Yep. I mean, that's what we want to see, right? Instantly looking for these trades, play at a high tempo, especially since Venogo wants to get any kind of EXP lead over Subway as soon as possible and start influencing the side waves with the amount of damage he's able to provide once he hits level 4. Let's look at the emblems here, and it looks like it's pretty straightforward, right? We're seeing Bastard Assassin on both of these gold laners. They are adamant in winning this lane.
I think what is kind of interesting is the fact that Izanami has gone from Quantum Charge on the Faramis, and Kaiser actually playing the more aggressive route of trading with the Impure Rage on Yuzong.
Yeah, especially against this Pakido, you can't let him just get away with these free trades. He already has a shield with his first ability, the punch. So if you can kind of wither him down, you actually give yourself an advantage in the lane, and that's what Yuzong is good at, laying down the early pressure. They both junglers just posturing on the bottom end, and Subway knows that Venogo is in that bush.
There's nothing to fight for on the map as of right now, and Venogo, I think his purple buff is eventually going to retire here. He needs to go back. He's got 8 more seconds until it does spawn, but you can see that even Fakes and Izanami, these teams are playing and mirroring each other exactly.
They're here for the level 4. Fortunately, Izanami does kind of push them out of the brush. Venogo, without the purple buff, forced to kind of try and contest this turtle. It's not easy. 3 members from RGMY around this area. Nova Escobar does try to keep Storm at bay. Here comes Kaiser with the Black Dragon form. And unfortunately, Nova Escobar just gets absolutely blasted. Overextending, and there's the Petrify to the back. Turtle for RGMY, and they have not missed the beat. Welcome back to the big stage, and that's 2 kills and a turtle.
Kaiser, he is, whew! His mechanics has not fallen off. Finds 2 in the Furious Dive, Petrify combo, getting the knock-up onto Fakes, and also locking down Subway enough for Venogo to get a free retry.
It was perfectly executed, and the fact that Nova Escobar was taken out so early in that fight meant that Monster Vicious did not have their setup anymore. No final slash available to them, meaning that the Minwen Fury can be very easy, along with the Nether Realm to secure 5v5 and the first turtle of the game.
Bit of a underestimation from Nova Escobar's side, right? Just walking into Venogo, thinking that he's going to survive a full combo on top of a lethal ignition. That is not happening in this early stage.
Yeah, especially when you're in the middle of 3 here. But look at the rotation so far, right? Once again, we're seeing the mirroring on either side. They want to make sure, that, at least for RSG, they want to make sure that they can actually match the overall pressure from the side of MV, who wants to make sure that the side lanes actually do well. If they sacrifice Nova X Kobar, that's the least of their worries. If Zeno is able to get ahead, and more importantly, if Ruff is able to get his 3 items, then I think we're going to see a change of pace.
Absolutely, and that's why you can see that RSGMY are making sure to maintain a close enough distance, especially with the roam and mid combo with Venogo, because now that, that is unfortunate miss on the final slash there though.
I mean, Izanami knew that Nova Escobar was waiting and just, poking and prodding at the Arlet. Thankfully, Arlet's ultimate doesn't have too long of a cooldown, and Valentina did steal the Nether Realm. Venogo back the bottom side, and Zeno, yeah, he smells something amiss. That wave is not in his favor though, so he's gonna be missing out.
This has gotta suck for Zeno, right?
Yep.
He's stuck. It's frozen right underneath the start. It's eventually going to break, but he's already lost at least 2 minions at this point.
Yep.
When you're known for playing bulkier EXP laners, something that you're usually going to be good at is wave manipulation there. And Kaiser shows that his mechanics have not rusted at all, making sure that Zeno not able to get the EXP he wants safely. Now Turtle gonna be contested again.
Venogo Fury just to stop Subway in his tracks, and the knockup is gonna allow Venogo to get the turtle very easily. Izanami able to run away, and unfortunately for MV, there's nothing left for them to try and go after. Storm running away. RGNY with a clean take.
MV a lot more prepared for Kaiser actually going for this engage, and Kaiser whiffing the Furious Dive into the Petrify, hitting no one this time round. I think for Monster Vicious, it's like, all right, you take the turtle. It's not like you have that much of a lead. 2,000, it's still manageable. At the end of the day, we got to make sure that the side lanes are A-OK. RSG looking for a potential punish on Nova. They know he's going to be here.
It's going to be pulled back. It's going to use the Vengeance to dash around, get some HP back. Izanami swipe to the side with the final slash. They get the Purify onto Lo Liao, who has to blow his own Purify. The Terrify, unfortunately, bringing him down low, and Subway also joins the fight to keep Izanami locked down. Here comes the Appraiser's Wrath, but only tickling him a little bit.
Surprisingly enough, no casualties from either team in that matchup there. Nova doing a good job of keeping himself topped up. I feel like RSG could have pursued the issue a little bit more, but they were more concerned with dealing with the pressure that Monster Vicious was responding with. The fact that they're able to keep Lolil alive because Subway didn't quite have enough damage to finish him off is very valuable, because a kill there would have really affected their early game momentum.
And Nova Escobar again, feeling the wrath of Venogo, down to just the critical HP has to reset, unfortunately. And that means RGNY, they get more map control.
Yeah, but with all this map control, however, I will say that at least for the side of RSG, it feels like they're not getting much done at this point of time. And even for MV, right, they don't mind waiting and scaling into this game. Let's look at the items to see what the priorities are. And it's first item, Necklace of Durance coming in from Fakes, knowing that he has to deal with the motivational roar coming out from Stone to keep the team topped up. And even for Kaiser when he procs the Sha residue.
What is interesting is that we have two... Oh, hold on, Ruff.
For Ruff, forcing the flicker out. Storm following up. Very, very straightforward. Fake is going to show up to the top lane alongside Subway. Who are they going to go for? Lo Liao, the ideal target, is going to dash around, try to buy as much time as possible once this tier 1. I don't think he's going to get it at the very end. Finished off by Monster Vicious. See the Fredrin getting the kill, but at the end of the day, that tier 1 still fell to the catapult, and the turtle goes over to Venogo.
Good macro coming in from RSGMY. Yes, it's unfortunate that Lolios ends up dying and Stone was the one who actually takes that kill, but at the end of the day, right, it was an off-tempo play set up by Lolios and as well as Stone, and they even committed the flicker to it as well. They do get the turtle and the trade on the top side of the map, but even Subway, he's not going to walk away letting them get this gold for free. They're trying to keep the gold as even as possible, not letting it go beyond 3K, keeping it at 1.5.
This is a similar sort of gameplay that we did see from Todak earlier today, where they're basically playing to mitigate their losses, knowing that their early game team fighting is not going to be quite as strong as compared to RSGMY. They just want to make sure that Ruff has as much space as necessary to get to that max build as soon as possible.
Storm, he's going to catch Subway, who gets pulled back by Izanami, and with the full force of RSGMY on him, Subway retaliates with a kill on his own, but Kaiser to the back with the Furious Dive will still get him back. Monster Vicious now have a fighting chance. It's Kaiser taking the damage from Ruff. Ruff doing everything in his power to take down Storm. Kaiser next on the chopping block. Zeno with a flicker and a 1-2 punch for the kill, and Monster Vicious responds.
Oof, good play, good play. Good response coming out from Monster Vicious, and Zeno even understanding, timing it to have his champion stance up before going for the flicker play, because he could get traded back by Venogo without the extra movement speed and left out to die. But now, with that being said, MV, Ruff, he's in a much better position in comparison to Loliels, right? He will be able to get the trade down on that bot side, and unfortunately, Loliels will not be there because of the tempo.
What RSGMY does next will determine whether or not they'll be stuck in a similar situation to Barracuda Esports earlier in the day. They've unfortunately given up a fight that they should have had advantage in, and that has allowed Monster Vicious to regain a lot of this net worth difference because they have been maintaining it this whole time. Right now, only a 500 net worth lead for RSGMY. It's unfortunate that Lolio was not in position to participate in that last fight because I feel like his presence could have made a difference.
Well, I mean, as a gold laner, you gotta pick and choose your battles here. And I think so far, RSGMY kind of slowing down with their tempo now that the tier 1s are starting to have already been taken away. They're losing a lot of space. And Monster Vicious, on the other hand, are scaling quicker than they'd imagined.
Storm will have to check the bush, trying to regain some of their map control. And now they get to set up camp there. Noah Escobar tries to recheck, and he's gonna get bursted. Bit of a careless error from the Romo of MV. And they have lost complete control of the Lord.
I don't know. It feels like they've committed a lot of the ults here. They might look to make something happen. No. It looks like Zeno, he's not going to move from this lane. He's more than happy to take the tier 2.
Yeah, if Subway can get a kill or two, that would be great. Forcing out the Nether Realm. Another important resources that RGMY is willing to commit to get the Lord. But Zeno has just broken that bottom tier 2.
I think considering the circumstances, it's a pretty good trade for Monster Vicious. Nova Escobar does need to be a lot more careful with his positioning here, and I do want to see his itemization because he's getting bursted so quickly here. He has to have at least an Athena shield by now, right? So if they're able to break through that, RG, pretty scary, but it's a smart choice by Zeno not to join that fight, because even if he were to come, there's no way they would have come out on top anymore.
Let's have a look at damage dealt rankings here so far, right? Because we're seeing 26, 24,000 fakes as well as Subway sitting at the top 2 with Lolios and Izanami under them in 3rd and 4th place at this point of time. So it just really goes to show the sustainability from RSGMY and the way that they're actually moving around the map. Keeping MV on their feet as much as they possibly can is actually a good thing because of the raw damage being afforded by MV.
Interestingly enough, AI winning predictions still leaning quite heavily towards Monster Vicious here, despite the net worth lead that RSGMY have. Lord gonna be crashing up top, but it's only the first, so Monster Vicious should be able to get out of this, only losing 1 tier 2 maximum.
Storm just trying to zone out the rest of Monster Vicious, but you're underneath the turret, and there's the carry just pummeling you down. The stolen Netherrealm has been used. Ruff has to flicker to safety as Kaiser zones out the rest of MV. Unfortunately, the final slash, would it be enough? Though Subway survives because of that. Nova Escobar with the rescue.
That was very well done. Zeno actually coming from the backline. He's looking for Lolil.
Almost got knocked out. That's a bit of an overtester. Star residue just enough at the end. And Lo Liao now with the clapback onto Ruff. Ruff forced to fight this, but he's never going to win. And as fast as we praise MV, they fall just as fast.
A little too... I don't know, that was a bit greedy coming out from the side of MV, right? And more importantly, for Zeno to actually try and go for some of the lower targets here, the squishier targets in the back line without having to commit a flicker. It's an all-in or an all-out. You can't do 50-50 here. Because Kaiser, he's going to keep you in check. He will body block. He will do what is necessary for the team. He's looking for these big engages, and so far he's been pretty successful in overall just zoning his opponents out.
Yeah, it was a very bad trade there. And that's right after they got such a perfect defense as well, keeping their members alive while getting some pickoffs on RSGMY. After an overextension now, RSG has ballooned their net worth lead to nearly 5k. And this could be a difficult amount to overcome here. Ruff is going to need a little bit more time and space.
Yeah, all that work that Zeno did earlier on down the drain. This is the most gold lead that RSGMY has gotten in this game so far. 12.5 minutes in with the second Lord spawning on the bottom end of the map.
Yeah, and this is a pretty important Lord here for the side of RSGMY, because if they do get this Lord, this will help propel them into the 42k mark, and if the Lord is delayed just long enough to hit that 42 spike, that's when MV is going to have a really rough time at defending their inhibitors. They're already missing one. Losing the rest, and more so looking for the end for the side of RSG, is very much a possibility.
Yeah, Monster Vicious' lineup is not that good at defending the base in the late game, but it looks like they don't really have much of a choice here. The Lord gonna be given over to RSG for free, and now Monster Vicious gonna need to commit a lot of resources for this base defense. They need to keep as many inhibitors alive as possible.
They're trying to keep this game clean, right? They're doing their house chores, they're doing all the maintenance, the fundamentals are extremely strong on both sides, and more importantly, sort of the coordination from both teams, they are trying not to be caught slacking.
I would say RSGMY is a bit more in control in terms of that decision making and how they start these fights. Mid-tier 2 unfortunately has no chance of standing. RSGMY dismantling the last outer layer defense on Monster Vicious, or at least they will in just a little bit.
Ooh, I'm looking at the itemization now. Xeno actually going very greedy for full damage per Keto, even with the Blade of Despair. And Novax Kubar actually did not go for an Athena shield against Faramis, Harry, and Nolan. I have to question this decision. There's no reason to have two antique cuirasses at this stage yet.
I don't think he can isolate people in those 1v1s. He just needs to chunk and break Faramis' Netherrealm's temp HP as quickly as he can, because it's not necessarily up to everybody else to do so, and there's only so much they can really do, especially when they're waiting for cooldown Subway.
So, be careful. That is a lot of damage from the carry. Overstepping is welcome. Subway with a big slam, and now Nova Escobar again with the re-engage. Izanami loses the Netherrealm, but able to get away just in time. I'd say MV defended their base very well.
They did a great job. Storm wasn't even able to get his ult off. I'm surprised he even jumped forward in the first place, but I think that RSG might have missed the mark on that engage.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of faith on the Netherrealm, and it's understandable because so far, Izanami's Netherrealm timing has been on point. It has been keeping RSG MY alive in a lot of these fights when their positioning has been off. So Storm losing his life there, just a little bit of a mistake, but not too much of a dent in RSG's momentum. Monster Vision needs to find a way to overcome this Netherrealm HP.
I think they've been doing just enough to break it, but it's more like after breaking the Netherrealm, do you have enough to finish off the members of RSGMY? So far, not really. RSGMY has been able to get away under the cover of that ability.
Yeah, I think MV at this point, they've got to play 4-1, right? Because RSGMY have basically given up on going for these big split push. They want to make sure that Kaiser is a secondary follow-up to these bigger engages if Storm is unable to find the right angle to hop on him with the Minoan Fury.
Oh, we just saw the Blade of Despair purchased by Venogo. We get a bit of a pause. I believe this time called by RSG Malaysia. It could be as we have a Marshals get it checked.
Of course, let's finish up game one.
We can hear what they have to say about it in-game.
Okay.
Storm,
right onto Subway, actually catching Xeno also. Xeno still hiding, but now has to show himself, misses the jab, and this is not good for Xeno. Subway already lost the immortality, following with his life. Nova Escobar trying to keep it together with the final slash, but RSGMY found the jugular in the blink of an eye to take down Tree from Monster Vicious. And they might have just broken the game wide open.
What a call coming in from RSGMY. I'm pretty sure they had a rough idea where the Paquito was going to be in that bush, but now they're going straight for the end.
And I don't think there's anything Xeno can do. Tail punch to push them away, but the minion waves still not clear. Lo Liao, he knows his duty. It's RSGMY to take game one.
Good, clean fight coming in from RSG. Honestly, a decisive swing for the neck, instantly closing out the game.
Man, getting caught out like that, you would not expect this to be the result, right? Storm or whoever it was on the side of RSG to make that call to instantly go on Subway, genius.
Yeah, I don't think we've given enough praise to Storm for this game because we've been focusing on a lot of the other players, but there's a reason why this man has stuck around since last season. He was part of the winning recipe that brought RSG